So here's my quarantine system. The bottom is a 40 breeder. It's plumbed to a 10 gallon. That 40 breeder is probably, if I recall correctly, it's probably the first saltwater aquarium I owned. So, been some time. The fixture on top was the one that originally came with it, and I used it, been using it for a long time. The setup's actually been here, or been set up a long time. The quarantine setup. But the fixture there on top, the bulb blew, I think about a week ago or so, and so I just grabbed one of these spotlight lights and just planted it on top of the tank here. Just obviously the purposes of just providing light into the tank, so it really don't matter what it is. But it looked better with the other light anyway, so it's only been there about a week, so probably less than that. Anyway, you can see here is actually a chiller it's plumbed to, because this is outside. This is a storage shed just for saltwater hobby stuff, so that's the whole purpose of this thing. I'll probably talk about the RO unit another time. But there's a chiller it's plumbed to, of course, to keep the temperature cool. There's an old refugium I used to have, or used to use a long time ago, and of course it just brings out water from the 40 breeder into this thing, and there's a pump in there that pulls the water out of there, and of course runs it through the chiller and back into that old refugium. Also, there's a old, I think it's a flukes canister I've had a long time that pulls water out of of course, from the bottom here, and overflows into the 10 gallon that's plumbed at the top. So there's a 10 and a 40 gallon plumbed together. The reason that I have those, A, of course, is more water volume, but B, also so I can separate fish if I have more than one fish at a time. And of course, this 10 gallon works great for gobies and wrasses and those sorts of small fish. You know, so of course they probably feel a little more comfortable by themselves if there's a larger fish too. If it's just one fish, I'll put them down the 40 regardless of size. But if I have more than one, I definitely put the small fish in the 10 gallon. So typically there's a light on there too, but of course since there's nothing in there, there's no light on right now. So I have a digital aquatics light controller that controls both quarantine systems. I have one for fish only, and I've got one over here that's actually for coral and inverts and those sorts of things when they come in as well. So as soon as, well, in this system, of course, as soon as a fish comes in, I do order a lot from Live Aquaria, Divers Den. Well, Divers Den, you know, of course, they go through a pretty thorough quarantine process. But regardless of their quarantine process, actually, you know, many fish get quite disturbed and shaken up in the process of shipping. And of course, this, you know, not just a disease treatment process, but also gets them, you know, back to, you know, in the case where they were in Divers Den, they already used to an aquarium, gets them back acclimated to an aquarium and gets them more comfortable. I think one of the most important things with obviously disease treatment is the most important, but the second most important that I found, especially for fish that are coming right directly from wholesalers, Quality Marine, you know, a lot of the other wholesalers that are out there, you know, you don't know how long they've been in an aquarium or out of the ocean, and putting them in the quarantine system gives them the opportunity to acclimate by themselves to an aquarium, get comfortable, get feeding onto prepared foods, pellets, and frozen foods, etc., without being pestered, A, by other fish, but also B, allowing them to be able to eat the food. You know, if you've got a lot of competition in the tank, then obviously creates a big issue with getting them to eat prepared foods if they're potentially reluctant to do so. Anyway, back to the quarantine. How this works is the water flows down from the bottom. Obviously, it actually goes through this little flukes. The only thing the flukes has in it is just filter pads. which is just flossing the you know, any particles or whatever out of it. And there's no carbon or anything that's being run through it, of course. And then there's a PVC pipe, of course. You can see there's a bulkhead that I drilled at the bottom of the 10 gallon for the water to flow through. It goes down through that all the way down to the 40 gallon that's below. You can see, and then the water comes out there. Now you can see there's actually powdered blue tang